Today is an exciting day because we are getting to blend a little of our old favorites with our new favorites with Kylee Evans from Good Witch and Mistletoe Murders. How you doing, Kylee?
I'm great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel.
Oh, like I say, this has been one of well, we say it often, but there's the certain people who we just really have wanting to talk to, and you have definitely been on that list because we'll definitely get to talking to little Stephanie, but she was such a good character. And then you roll right into Brooke, who's also such a good character. You have such good luck with the characters that you select there. So,
Yeah.
but before we start, I just saw today that Private Eye is getting a reboot, and you were in an episode of Private Eye. Now, us in America don't get to see it, but sounds like it's a fun series.
Yeah, it was a great series. It seemed to have lasted forever here. And I actually just saw the news too yesterday that they're doing a West Coast reboot. So um, I thought America could get it. I thought maybe that's why there was this new resurgence of
Oh,
love for it. But whatever it is, it's great.
maybe it
And
is on somewhere that I have to go look down because I've only heard great things about it.
yeah, it's a blast, more. I love mysteries. I don't want to say I love murder.
Fictional
um
murder.
Fictional murder. Yes. Suspension of disbelief, I guess. Murder. And that show was great. It was so much fun.
Well, maybe you'll get another guest in the reboot too.
Yeah,
For
that'd
that.
be awesome.
Now, you did mention the fictional murder and everything, and you also are a star of a podcast, which we'll get to. But are you a podcast listener yourself, like the true crime stuff, or what kind of do you listen to?
Yeah, I love true crime podcast. I love anything true crime. Um, Everyone always says, "Oh, you must have such a fun life," and I think, well, Saturday nights usually are my couch and Dateline. So, um, but yeah, I love true crime podcasts. And actually, you mentioned Good Witch, and a lot of my time at Good Witch, because we had very very long days, because it was such an intricate show. So sometimes I would be in my trailer for 10, 11 hours just listening to murder.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you are up there in Canada. I am down here in Arizona. I'm going to ask you, what subjectively is the best thing about being Canadian? Is it like the hockey, the what do you call them, ketchup fries, poutine? You have all sorts of things to pick from. So what is the
Ketchup
best thing?
fries. Ketchup chips, yes, is a very good chip. And if you know me, you know that I love potato chips. And ketchup chips are incredible. The best thing about being Canadian, I don't know. I used to say it was, especially here, was like our seasons. We have all four seasons very distinctly, and just after this winter of snow in Toronto, I have to say I don't think it's the season. And in fact, my husband right now is in Arizona, and I just spoke to him, and he's at a baseball game right now
Oh,
uh, at the Cactus League, I guess,
yeah,
and
yeah.
his third one in 24 hours. And he's in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, while it is mild today, it's by no means short weather.
All right.
So
So what I think we have different definitions of mild
yes,
because I am saying it's mild when it's like 72. I have
okay,
a
and
feeling you're mild, maybe a little bit. Well, you're also in the Celsius, so you've got a whole
yeah,
conversion thing going down there. But
we do, and I'm bad at the conversion, but I mean 72 is what I keep my house at in the winter. So that's pretty warm. It's pretty nice.
all right.
Yeah.
So what is your husband following a certain team, or is he just here to? check out the baseball in general?
Yeah, he had a gig down there tomorrow, so he went a little bit early and did some baseball.
Okay. My nephew's in the uh, not the Mariners, the Brewers organization. So he's been doing. So we go to a lot of the spring training games. They're fun.
Okay, yeah, he saw the Brewers yesterday, so fun. Okay.
Okay. Well, all right. So before we get to the fun stuff, I just saw on Instagram you just did a post where you were talking about how you've been experiencing hearing loss, and now in your left ear you've lost the hearing, and it was something like I don't want to say we're embarrassed about, but it's a process, right? And I myself, I'm going through something similarly with vision, and it's very weird how you have these things that happen that's out of your control, and yet, I don't know if it's vanity or whatever, but we don't like seek help or deal with it and push it down or are embarrassed by it. Can you just tell me and maybe share your journey just a little bit to, maybe help other people who may be dealing with similar types issues?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sorry that's happening to you. Mine started when I really started to notice it. I was in my second year of university, and I did a music degree. I sang opera. That was what I wanted to do with my life, was be on the stage singing. And I really started to notice the hearing loss during that time. It was almost muffled. Um, and I kind of just swept it under the rug, like it's fine, like I probably have a infection or something. And it got worse and worse and worse. And I was sent to an ENT who did hearing tests and was told at that time I only had half of my hearing, around half, which was a huge shock. And
And you're young, right?
I was young at the time. Like I was, what would I have been? Like 23, maybe 22, which I think also feeds into that you're embarrassed, or is it vanity? When you're so young, you're supposed to be vibrant, and in your head, you're just like nothing. You're infallible. Like
Right.
nothing can go wrong, you know? Um, and so I got hearing aids at that time. And I mean, I know technology is very different today. It was confusing, and I couldn't get them to regulate properly. And so I had more testing done, and they realized it was nerve damage. So it was irreversible nerve damage. There was really nothing that was going to fix or augment the hearing that I've lost. And so it was really just maintaining the hearing that I had. Cut to today, it's gone completely on that side. And so I just thought it was really interesting. I didn't know there was a World Hearing Day. And when I heard about it and I started reading the stats, it was insane to me that people are so are just take everything that's coming at them and just think it's just, oh, it's aging, or it's natural, I don't really need to draw attention to myself. It's more of a hassle to go and have it tested, or just to seek help for it. And I just thought, I think I should say something, to normalize it.
Right.
I'm still young. I'm still successful. I can still sing. I can still play the piano and get on with my life. But I've also got this thing that, I have to be careful with. And I have to be very careful now that I don't affect the other side. Because when you only have one, you
Right.
kind of gotta, yeah,
Exactly.
cherish it and hang on to it, and yeah, treat it well.
So with that and being so musically inclined, does it sort of alter how that is? Like you sing or just, I mean, obviously it alters how you hear, right?
Yeah, 100%. I had to learn really quickly, like the way sound travels through your face, and the bone conduction and all of that, to sort of place my sound differently. So I don't really rely on how I hear myself, more so how it feels in the face or the mask of your face. Um, I also do a lot of cartoon work, so that was tricky too, like placing different people and different parts of your voice, parts of your sound, and so yeah, it's been a huge learning curve, and I don't want to say I'm happy about it, but I also feel a little more powerful now that I am able to deal with it
All
in
right.
that way. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to some fun stuff.
Okay.
And I was looking, and I know we've been scolded that IMDb is not always totally right, but according to there, you grew up in Nova Scotia, and it sounds like kind of a not Toronto-sized city in Nova Scotia, right?
Yeah.
So, first of all, how small what was this town where you grew up in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, so my town in Nova Scotia, it was I would say about 4,000 of us. It's a one-stop light town, and it's funny. I always say it's a one-stop light town, but I guess there's two stoplights, one at each end of Main Street, um, and really tiny communities around there. So we sort of make up a county. So there was just one small town after one small town after one small town. And yeah, it was my high school was at the top of my street, and everybody knows everybody, and yeah.
So when you're doing the Good Witch and you're in that little tiny community there, it's pretty much like what you actually grew up in, right? Everyone knows
Very
everybody, and
familiar
it's
territory.
uh,
Yeah. Very familiar. Everyone would make fun of me on Good Witch because they'd say, "Wait, so you're the coffee shop and the where you go for wine? Like you have your breakfast there and your dinner?" The Bistro Cafe. Yes, and it's like that in a small town too. It's it doubles.
heading back to IMDb. It
Hmm.
does show that you got your acting career first as let's see, you were oh no, I wrote down actress number three. You weren't actress number three, but you were something number three, and then blonde actress number three. I'm sure being blonde actress number three was a real stretch. You had to like, how am I going to be a blonde actress? But regardless, just tell us a little bit about your journey from little town in Nova Scotia all the way up to living in Toronto and being, an actor.
Yeah. So, as I said, I went to university to study music and thought I would sing opera. Moved to Toronto to do the COC, the Canadian Opera Company, and realized really quickly that that is not the life I had wanted. I'd always wanted to do music theater, so I ventured into that territory, did some musicals, and got an agent. And they would just start sending me out on things, and I kept booking TV. I just kept booking television, and instead of fighting it, I rolled with it, and that's kind of how I got my start. And it was a slow start. You did a little role. I think I was like dancer number
Yeah,
three.
dancer number three is what it was.
Yeah. And then I was actor number two. Then I was blonde actress number one, because there may have been four of us. I don't know. uh, and little by little by little, you make your way, and I'm proud of that fact, because coming from such a tiny little place to what I do now, I would never have expected this. I would never have thought this was my going to be my life. Um, and here I am, and it's what I get to do when I get to do it is remarkable.
Would it be safe to say that, let's see, what is it? It is, what's your town you're from in Nova
My
Scotia?
town, it's called Stellarton.
Stellarton. Would it be safe to say you are the most famous Stellarton native?
Oh, I don't know about that. There's there's some pretty. I mean, as far as acting goes, and that sort of like entertainment world, possibly yes. But in Canada here, there's a grocery chain called Sobeys Grocery, and they started in my little tiny town.
There you go. They're at the other side of the stoplight.
They are actually, yes. So yeah, there's pretty remarkable people that come out of my county anyway. So I'm happy to be among them. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, you do cameo, and I have to say, what is it actually like with people sending in their requests? I imagine most of them are all sweet and nice and wonderful things, but are you also getting some like, oh my gosh, what is this person like? Is it a little weird sometimes?
This is a bit strange. I have to say I've been very lucky. I've had really very sweet people. You know, guys asking me to wish their moms happy birthday, and a lot of Christmas, Merry Christmas, and really just lovely, lovely people. But I did have once where, and I always say, I hope this is fine. If there's anything, just let me know if you'd like anything changed. And someone came back to me, and this is the only time that anyone has ever come back to me. Normally, it's like, this is great. Someone came back to me 6 times. If I would change like very small details. And of course I did. Because I'm a pleaser.
Well, wait, how much is a cameo with you?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, maybe like $30, $35.
So $30 with 6 edits. You're definitely in the negative there when you're going on the hourly rate there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, you were in 75 episodes of The Good Witch, obviously between the series and then the movies as well. But I imagine, like, for many people, 75 acting credits total was a career, and you had to just be in that Good Witch, family. So, speaking of like that family, did it feel by that point after all those years of working with them again and again and again, did you guys have such that family feel to that set?
Yeah. Good Witch was one of those things. It was so special. It was 7 whole years of my life. And it was day after day. I was in every single episode, every episode for 7 seasons. And so day after day, you go to the same lot. You're greeted by the same people. And you just all become such good friends. And yeah, you do become like a family. You're offering advice, you're seeking advice, you're celebrating birthdays together and occasions, and graduations and special moments. And when you're in it, you you know that it's something great and magical and all of that, but it's even harder when it's over, because you wish you had not taken for granted some of those times. But it was just, that show was magic on screen, but it was magic off screen. We were so lucky. We had the best of the best crew in this city, and just the best showrunner and incredible directors, and we were just learning and loving, and it was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable time.
When you were like sort of doing the first season, did you think it was like, oh, this is good, this is going to get serious like for a while, or were you kind of surprised when it became what it became?
I was definitely surprised. And I'll tell you why. It wasn't anything to do with the quality of the show or any of that, because it was so top notch. In this industry in general, but especially in this country, in this industry, to get a second season is like miraculous. People, if it's not a hit right away, people are so scared to throw money at it and take a chance. So things, just as they're starting to get cooking, it's taken away from you. And as an actor, you get used to that. And it's sad, but it's true. So did I think it would last 7 seasons when I started? Absolutely not. uh, but as we started to go, I was, yeah, this is legs. This could keep going. It's plus when you stepped onto those sets, it was like you really were stepping into like a magical place. It was, yeah, it was incredible.
Well, sometimes I'll have a bad dream about my wife and I wake up and I'm just angry at her the whole next day. You know, it's my dream, but she was evil in my dream, so she was evil in real life.
Okay.
In Good Wife, or Good Witch, excuse me, you were rivals pretty much kind of with Abigail, played by Sarah Powers, who, from my understanding, you're not rivals in real life.
No.
So, did you ever find yourself like sometimes being stuck in that where you're like, you're wrapping up and you're like, why am I so angry at her? And even, taking that sort of character thing, rolling off into your real life and have to sort of figure out, wait, I'm not actually mad at her. I'm mad at Abigail.
You bring up an interesting point. So, no, I think because Sarah's so lovely, and when you yell cut, we're immediately like, "What do you think of these shoes? Should I buy these jeans?" Like it was, it was more of a camaraderie than anything off screen. So, um, I don't really, I never really got wrapped up in that, but. It's funny you say that because your body as an actor your body doesn't know that you're acting, so every part of you, if you're in love with someone, or you're like murdering someone or whatever it is, your body doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know it's fake. I always wondered about that. And I have a really great osteopath. And one day she said to me, "What do you do when you end your day on set to wind down and let your body know that was false? Like what are your techniques?" And I said, "I don't have any."
Gin and tonic.
Yeah, it's a glass of wine in the tub. Yeah, so I don't know. My body's carrying all of these things, I guess.
That's hilarious. All right. All right. So, who do you think between Sarah and Catherine Bell, which one is secretly really a witch?
Ooh. Ooh. Who has the potential to secretly be a witch in real life with secret powers? I have to still stick with Catherine. Yeah. Yeah.
All
She's
right.
got she's got powers that she's next level. Catherine's next level.
Really? Oh, we're gonna have to try to get her on here someday.
Oh, you haven't talked to her yet? Yeah,
Oh,
she's phenomenal.
no, oh, that would be awesome. I'm a fan ever since Jag. So I think most young men were very big fans of Jag for
Yeah.
a,
Yes.
a very good reason.
Also.
All right. So of all those, like we said, 75 episodes, and you were, as you said, in every one. Some of them bigger roles than others, though. But do you have a particular episode that, or the movie that was your favorite that you had from all those?
My favorite, usually, my favorites were nearing the end of each season because there'd be a big event that the whole cast would be in. So, for 15 to 18 hours every day, the whole cast would be on set. And we weren't used the whole time, so we were like playing games or just chatting or whatever. And those were my favorites. And also the episode nearing the end where I got to sing with Jamie Denton. That was pretty special. Yeah.
Catherine Disher, like Martha, is one of the best characters in the history of television.
Yes.
And obviously, Catherine Disher who played. Now, is she that stinking funny in real life? Does she do you just like walk around laughing nonstop?
Catherine Disher in real life, she's very much like Mayor Martha. Except in real life, she's much drier. Her sense of humor is very dry. She's very wry, um, just sharp as a tack. And I just she doesn't have that. Well, she's much more grounded, I guess.
Well, yes, that's the joy of Martha. She's like completely clueless to what being ground. Yeah, the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she could be in literally every single episode of every single show, movie, I think it would be a better world.
Just have a Martha cameo in every Hallmark series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have any good fun behind the scene? Like, of course you do. I mean, like you say, seven seasons. Do you have any really good behind the scenes story that sticks out to you?
Oh gosh, there were so many. But along the Martha line, or Catherine Disher, there was an episode where she breaks her foot or her leg or something. She's on a scooter.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember what season that was, but I just oh her trying to learn to drive that scooter, and Sarah Power and I just dying laughing the whole day with her, and she would just be like driving around honking the horn. Yeah, shoot, that was a hoot. And also we had one of our one of our assistant directors, I think he was like our third AD or something, for one season. He was a magician. And so that whole season, it was just magic everywhere on set. Things would go flying off shelves and we'd be like, Mark! And it was him, and it was so crazy. And now he's like a really big deal magician. So we
That's
knew he,
crazy.
yeah.
Crazy. Okay, so this is probably the stupidest question I've ever asked in the history of this podcast, but how excited do you think you would be and the rest of the cast if we were to happily get another Good Witch coming through for either a season or a movie? Like, would that just be incredible?
It would be incredible. Yeah. And there's a lot of talk of it.
Really?
There's a lot of talk of it, like a little reunion for a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie. But yeah, that would be, ugh, yeah. Sign me up. First to sign.
Why did Stephanie have such bad luck with men? Like, she just, that was, she was cursed.
She was cursed. Yeah. The writers did not want me to be in love. But then, I kissed many toads to get my prince, and I ended up married. So I don't know. It was a journey, but
Definitely, that's an
definitely,
understatement.
yeah. Like way back in the day, my first episode, like I went on a date with Sam.
Oh, that's right. Right, you were trying for Sam.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, Stephanie definitely took her time.
Well, as we talked about it, you're a singer, and when we talked to Peter Mooney, Stephanie's husband, or excuse me, Sarah's husband, we asked him about his karaoke, and he said his go-to is he does Meatloaf with Sarah. So for you, I know it's awesome. I don't know how you're going to beat that because couple doing Meatloaf is just next level. But for you, what would be, and you got me kind of scared now because you're like opera, so your like skill level is obviously quite talented. But what would be your karaoke go to?
Well, now that I know that about Peter and Sarah, I got listen, I gotta have a karaoke off with them because my husband Sandy and I do Islands in the Stream as our karaoke. That's sort of our go-to. That and Love Shack we do a lot. I don't know. I think I like old stuff. Like these boots were made for walking. Like,
Okay.
oh yeah, I can rock that.
Something a little sassy.
Yeah.
Well, we're finally going to get to Mistletoe, which is, great news. It just happened last week, the news for second season. And as we were talking right before, it's going to be going into production fairly quickly. So, how, when I think as fans, we just didn't believe Hallmark could not be smart enough to say, we've got to do another season of this because it's so, so good. It's probably some of the best writing and acting Hallmark has ever done in a production. But from you, obviously, you also like a paycheck, right? That's pretty good news. But when you got the news, were you just like, was it for you just, oh, I know it's coming? Or were you also surprised? Like, all right, because what we talked about, getting a second season isn't always a guarantee.
No, it's definitely not a guarantee. I felt really good about this one. I I definitely thought we would get a season two, especially because there was only 6 episodes, and I really thought that we would get like 8 or 10 this season. Like I really thought we would get more. So because we just started to scrape away at it, and I thought for sure we'd get another chance, and we did. And so we've been sitting on this news for a little bit, which has been so excited. But now that it's finally been announced, and now that it's finally here, it finally feels real. Finally feels real. And I've just read the first 2 scripts of season 2. And I think everyone's gonna love it.
I don't know how we could, and like, because Hallmark could not end on that cliffhanger. That is the dooziest of the doozy of cliffhangers. I I had talked to when I had talked to Sarah in it was still going on. It's right before that had aired, and so she told me what was happening, just because the podcast is going to air after it. And even though I knew, I still was blown away as like 10 times crazier, more powerful than I ever would imagined. But so, as I said, you're about to start shooting. It's a little bit different of, excuse me, weather conditions. Because last time all we heard was how hot it was, and this time it's not. Like you said, it was not too bad there, but still, you're not going to be in 88 degrees trying to look cold. You're probably going to actually be cold for a little bit of it, huh?
Yeah, let's knock on wood. It was, listen, as actors, we go through it all. We shoot in little tiny dresses and high heels in the middle of snowstorms, and we shoot in cashmere and wool in 90-degree weather. So we're used to it, but this particular last year was just like I've never experienced anything like it. It was just it was gross. Like there's no other word to describe it. So when they said that we would be shooting earlier, I was like, hallelujah, this is perfect. Now it has been beautiful the last 2 days here, as I said. It's been like 12 degrees, which is Celsius, so I don't really know what
Right.
that is. Okay, but the only thing that we have now to worry about is the rain, because the spring here is very, very rainy. So let's just hope we're not outside a ton, and I think I think we'll be okay.
I just did my quick Google, and that's 54 degrees. So,
54, and it
wh-
was like I sat outside with a sweater on. I
see,
cut back my hydrangeas today. Like I was like, yes. This
That's what
is
it is here in the morning when I walk my dogs, and I am bundled in my parka, complaining about how cold it is. So we live two very different lives
we do.
there. So what was funny is when we had Peter on, he said like he was talking about that of trying to act cold, being in his thing when he is literally sweating and just dying of heat. He said like one of the best things in acting he's ever seen was how Sarah Drew actually could look cold. He's like, I was in awe of her ability to be in this ungodly, like you say, gross heat, and yet she's shivering and all of that. And he's like, I wish I could be that good of an actor to be that look that cold.
Yeah. Yeah, Peter's a real slack, that guy, huh?
So yeah. When you said you were just doing your wardrobe, so is Brooke going to be kind of like the same this year? Or do you have any little insights into how Brooke may be a little different this season?
Yeah, Brooke is very quirky. And her style, while impeccable, is still pretty quirk. And this year we're trying to shake her up a little bit. I feel last season I said if like I felt like we purchased every sweater with a gold button in the entire city of Toronto. So this season, I don't know. You're gonna have to watch out, but there may be some silver buttons. There may be
Wow, that's
without a gold.
crazy.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Well, everyone may not know, but you also do the podcast version of Brooke and Mistletoe, and because of just the environment you're talking, the TV, we got the 44 minutes and everything like that, but Brooke in the podcast definitely has a little more robust appearance, right? Because there's not as much you're trying to do. There's no visual to distract and all that kind of stuff. But what's it like when you're doing the audible Brooke and then knowing you've also got the acting Brooke? Like, do you feel like they're the same, or is one a little bit different? Because like quirky, I thought snarky is the one I would say.
Yes.
But
So in the Audible version, she's very snarky. I play her very snarky. I think she's she can push the boundary, push the limits a little bit more. Whereas on TV, in TV land, I feel like we still have to like her, and I I almost feel like yeah, she's quirky, she's a bit snarky, but just she sort of came to life for me on screen. It's it's tough when you're just doing your part in a series like that, a podcast or an Audible series, because you're not hearing what everybody else is bringing to the table. And in a perfect world, we'd all be recording in the same studio together, and it would be magic. But um, when I got her on screen, I realized, okay, she's not as mean, she's not as catty, I guess, as she
right.
is in the Audible. Yeah, so it's kind of nice to play her two different ways.
I just was thinking about this. You kind of are flip-flopping because you were all the sweet, nice in the Good Witch. I guess in the beginning, she was doing a little bit, like you say, the jealousy with when you were talking about Sam, but she had Abigail, whereas now you're kind of more getting to play that Abigailish type character with Brooke. So
Yeah, she's definitely a 180 from Stephanie. Definitely. But yeah, I don't know. She's such a busybody. I just love Brooke. I mean, every small town has a Brooke.
So you're talking about it though. Like, what is it like though doing the audible? Because you just have your script, you read your lines, I imagine, by yourself. There's no playing off others, there's no getting the emotion of the scene or anything. Is it hard? But I guess if you do the cartoon stuff, you kind of have that background, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a different game. It's a different muscle for sure. Um, to be able to do that and to match it and to be matching energy, you really have to trust your director who's running the session. Um, and the writing, which I mean, we don't have a problem with that because I mean everything is led by Ken Kupris, and he's ridiculously incredible. So if you trust the process, you succeed, um, and it's easy to trust him and his team. So it's it's again it's different, but it's you just trust in it. I would love though one just once to be part of something that we all are in the same room recording our voices together. I just that ensemble, you can't match it.
That's like old school radio theater, right?
Yeah, it's a dream of mine. Yeah.
So by being in both the podcast and the TV version of it, you do get to see the different, or hear, I guess, whatever, experience the different actors and things like that. So when it first was coming, I personally, because I loved the podcast, I had someone turn me on to it right at about halfway through season one when that came out. And I was so nervous because the podcast characters were so good that I was like, I'm going to be disappointed just because it's, like when someone reads a good book, the movie never quite lives up. And I was worried, but I was blown away. And I thought the casting and everyone was absolutely fantastic. But for you, when you're looking and like, oh, Emily's here's, Kobe, then now it's Sarah or just whoever, Peter, and like, were you a little bit nervous? Like, is that magic going to be able to, translate?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would be lying if I said I didn't think it was going to be so incredibly off. You know, like when you get used to one thing and you get used to these characters, would the listeners or the viewers be able to switch their thinking, to be able to switch their vision of that? Uh, you you think about it. But then when you realize who's cast, I mean, Peter Mooney, I mean, you've talked to him. He's the salt of the earth human. Like, regardless, he's one of the best actors ever. He could, act circles around most people. But besides that, he's just an incredible human being. And I wasn't familiar with Sarah, but she had such a following and such a beautiful energy that I was like, oh, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be okay, and I think it's a different energy. It's definitely a different energy. Don't you agree? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah, like they're extremely different, and I think different enough from the Audible version that that is what made it okay. I think if we were trying to like match or find a dead ringer for those people, that's when you get into a situation that maybe wouldn't have been as successful. But yeah, this is just the perfect casting.
So when you say with Sarah, the story was when my daughter found out I was interviewing her. That's like the only time she's ever thought I was cool. Her and her best friend started like totally texting me because they're Grey's Anatomy fans. So they're
That's so
like,
great.
"Oh my god, oh my god!" And I was like, I saw season one of Grey's Anatomy and I hadn't seen any since, so I had no idea about the whole Grey's Anatomy thing there. And yeah, I was cool dad for a little bit there.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, listen. I may be the only person on the planet who has never seen a single episode of Grey's Anatomy, but I have not. And my family, when I told them that I had booked the show and that the lead is Sarah Drew, she was on Grey's, my sister immediately was like, she was April. She was,
Right.
and she was just going crazy. And uh, everybody was like, "You live under a rock, Kylee. Like you haven't seen this show." So I promised everyone that I'm going to start at season one and go through the entire. catalog of Grey's Anatomy, which
I
will
think
probably,
there's like 20 years of it though.
take me till I'm dead.
I know you'll be long since retired and everything, still trying to get through it all.
Yeah.
Well, who would you say you are more like? Are you more like Brooke or are you more like Stephanie?
Ooh, I think I'm a little bit of both. Definitely Stephanie because I love to cook. I am the person who loves to take care of everyone, and I do that a lot through food. And so I relate to her on that level. Um, but I definitely have the quirk and the bubble of Brooke. And I like to be in the know. I like to know what's going on. And I feel like Brooke has to know what's going on.
Right.
So I'm like a bit half and half. Like I'm a little meld of both.
Brooke also doesn't have great luck with guys. Her wedding didn't go according to plan.
No. And I still don't see any love interest for Brooke, spoiler alert yet.
So,
So I'll have to bring that up. I'll have to bring
well,
that up with the
I
team.
would, yeah, we're this people are probably good. What are they talking about? Brooke wedding? That's the podcast, not the TV show. I think one of the like you mentioned earlier about, and I was saying how I was nervous and then you were a little nervous too. I think one of the brilliant things that Ken did was while that first mystery was the same as the podcast, the next two he went a whole different direction. So it made it very easy for me as a viewer and a fan to separate the two. The funny thing is, my Andrea, my co-host, when we were watching the first one, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what happens. I know who the killer. Like I was bragging, like I knew what was going down. And then when it turned out to be different at the very end, I was like, oh, well, I got hoodwinked there. Thank you, Ken. But then, like I say, two and three being completely different. I think that was great for people who are fans of both.
Yeah, I agree. It was easier to separate, and I mean, Ken knows what he's doing, and the whole team at Hallmark behind Mistletoe is just they're so great. So their input is like invaluable. It's incredible. So yeah, it's turning. I don't know. I'm not going to jinx it, but I think
No,
I,
it's
it has potential.
right. Oh, it is. Like I say, it's the writing is great, the direction is great, the acting. It is clearly great quality content.
Mhm.
Um, so one of the things that we talked about too when we were just talking about the acting was my favorite character in the podcast, sorry, Brooke, but it is Violet, right? I just loved Violet in the podcast, and so I was so nervous with the casting of that one. Like I was nervous about everybody, but
Mhm.
that one in particular. And then you see it's someone who's a rookie, no acting credits, and then you get Sierra coming in and just nailing that character. Was that like crazy?
Yeah, she's she like there is no other word to describe. She's remarkable. She's so lovely as a human too, but she's so lovely as that character and just gentle and kind and ugh, like yeah, she nails it.
Okay. Which of the three mysteries? So, like, I can't say episode because there are two essentially episodes per mystery. Which of the three was your particular favorite?
Huh. The choir episode obviously tugs at my heartstrings because um, it was the most fun to shoot. Plus, I got to do Snowga. Oh no, that was actually in the third. Never mind. That was one of my favorite parts. But the choir episode, everyone that was cast in the choir, just the talent. And I feel like, nobody really got to see the extent of it, but we all learned that music. We went and we rehearsed and we prepared and we recorded and um, just the talent of that choir in this city is next level. Uh, that that Mystery was amazing to me. Plus, I loved having a stunt double and getting pushed off of the stage with a burnt microphone. And I love Ken for writing that for me. But the third third mystery, the third murder, was just everything was beautiful, and I loved how smart it was, and the writing was so incredible, and it was so intricate, and the sets were beautiful, and just it was it was just such a perfect ending to that season. Yeah, so 2 and 3, it's a toss up.
I was going to guess that you would have liked the choir one for obvious
Ah,
reasons.
so
So,
good.
now, so when you, because you obviously know Hallmark and have been part of a big Hallmark series, when you were doing the podcast, were you in the at back of your mind going, "Wow, this would work for Hallmark at all?" Or were you like shocked that Hallmark became interested in that?
Um, I don't know if I was shocked. I just was like, I thought it was a really smart choice. Like, um, if if you're lucky enough to work with Hallmark, it's they're just next level. They just do everything right. Like everything is, um, it's just beautiful. Like the people who work for them, like everything is just top notch. So for them to be interested in this, I just thought, wow, what a smart choice. And um, also, it's a little. I guess they're getting, they've been into this mystery zone for a while, but it's kind of pushing like the limits a little bit. With Hallmark, like there's some things in Mistletoe that I wouldn't necessarily have thought I would see Hallmark doing years ago, and I thought that was really cool. They're just really cool. The yeah the the Hallmark team that we work with personally at Mistletoe are incredible. So I'm just happy they loved it. I'm happy they picked it up, and I'm happy that I get to work with them again.
Well, normally I would end with, "Do you have anything coming up?" But we obviously know you have something coming up, so I'll just ask, how long? Because we know like Hallmark goes at a blazing speed, and usually it's whatever 15 days to crank out a movie. But when you're doing like the three, I don't know how many episodes is, but like how long are you locked in for? Is it like over like a month and a half, 2 months, or something like that?
Yeah, so it's different for your episode orders. This one, I think last year we shot I think we thought shot 12, wait, 10 weeks maybe? 10 weeks through 12 weeks maybe. So yeah, like 2.5 months, I guess I'm sort of locked out for to do this particular season. But yeah,
Is it close enough that you get to head home, or are you there?
I'm here, and it's great. I think my very first day of shooting is April 1st, so I'm very excited about it.
So you get to go home and sleep in your own bed, though, which is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I will wish you luck. And one of the great things is when we talked to Dylan Neal, and he was saying if an actor works 4 days a year, that's usually, often a good year. And here you are, getting 2.5 months. So congratulations. We as fans could not be more excited and excited to see more Brooke. I hope Brooke definitely, because Brooke gets pretty much kind of like a whole episode in the podcast. So hoping like you get to be a center of at least one of the mysteries as well.
You and me both. Yeah, you should give Ken a call.
I, I actually I have his number now. I had to talk to him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm really busy, and let me text you." I'm like, "All right, well, I got your number, so
Perfect.
he's gonna wish
Every single
regret
day
giving me that."
text Brooke.
So yes, perfect. Well, thank you very much. It was absolutely wonderful talking to you, and
Thank
wish you
you.
luck. And
Thank you so
hope
much.
season 2 is even better.